The rain hit the metal roof so hard that it sounded like the sky was breaking. Inside a huge mansion in Lekki, a man in his mid-30s stood alone in front of a tall window. His name was Daniel Cole, and his eyes were fixed on the storm outside. His shoulders were tense. His fists were tight. His heart felt heavy. The whole house was quiet, too quiet. No laughter, no voice, no sound of life, just silence and rain. A loud crack of thunder flashed across the sky, but Daniel did not blink. His face stayed still. He felt empty, like he had nothing to live for. Every corner of the mansion shone like new money. Marble floors, bright lights, expensive paintings, gold frames. Everything looked grand, but his heart felt cold. He turned away from the window and walked slowly through the living room. His footsteps echoed like he was the only soul in the world. Daniel sat at the head of a long dining table with plates that no one used. A hot meal sat in front of him, but he could not eat. His eyes stared at the food with no interest. The emptiness inside him felt wider than the room. He raised his head when he heard soft footsteps enter. Ben Adams walked into the room, holding a laptop in one hand and a notepad in the other. Ben was Daniel's closest friend and personal assistant. He was the only person who still spoke to Daniel like a real human being, not like a bank account. Ben stopped at the table. "You didn't touch the food again." Daniel pushed the plate away. "I'm tired." Ben wanted to ask more, but he saw the sadness on Daniel's face. He pulled a chair and sat beside him. Daniel rubbed his forehead slowly, like every thought weighed him down. "I'm tired of this life, Ben. I'm tired of fake people. I'm tired of fake smiles. I want something real. I want someone who sees me, not my money." Ben leaned forward. "Daniel, you have everything." Daniel looked at him with tired eyes. "I have nothing." He stood up and walked to the window again. "Women come into my life because of money. They leave when they don't get more. Some even negotiate love like it's a market stall. I feel used, Ben, every day." Ben sighed. "Real love is hard to find when your name is Daniel Cole." Daniel kept looking at the rain. "Then what if I don't use that name?" Ben frowned. "What do you mean?" Daniel turned, his eyes sharp. "What if I disappear for a while? What if I leave everything behind and start fresh? What if I live like a common man? No cars, no fine clothes, no fame, no money, just me." Ben stared at him like he was hearing madness. "Daniel, you want to pretend to be poor." Daniel nodded slowly. "I want to see how life feels when no one knows me. I want to see if someone can love me as a man, not as a billionaire." Ben put down the laptop. "Do you know how dangerous that is, if something happens to you out there?" Daniel raised his hand. "I trust you. You will watch from a distance. I need this." Ben shook his head. "Daniel, people on the street sleep hungry, they get sick, they get robbed, they get hurt. You are not built for that life." Daniel gave a small, sad smile. "Maybe that is why I need it more." Ben looked at him for a long moment. Daniel's eyes were firm. He was serious. He had made up his mind. Nothing would change it now. When the rain slowed, Daniel walked to his bedroom. He opened his wardrobe, but instead of the fancy suits and polished shoes he always wore, he reached for a small old bag. He packed only torn jeans, a faded shirt, an old blanket, and simple sandals. He left behind watches worth millions. He removed his ring. He dropped his phone on the bed. He picked up a little bottle and rubbed dust on his hands and face. He looked in the mirror. For the first time, he looked like an ordinary man. No shine, no class, just a tired, lonely face. He whispered one sentence as he stood at the mansion door. "Goodbye, old life." Ben stood behind him, still worried. "Daniel, please think again." Daniel stepped outside without turning back. "Take care of the house till I return, if I return." The gate closed behind him, and the rain washed the last bit of dust from the ground as he walked away. The next day, Daniel took a Danfo bus to Agege. The heat was high, the air felt heavier, people shouted, cars honked, children ran, smoke filled the sky. Daniel walked to a corner beside a rough wall and sat on the ground. He placed a small tin cup in front of him and lowered his head. For the first time in his life, no one cared who he was. People passed by him like he was air. A woman covered her nose and walked away fast. A man hissed and shook his head. Children pointed at him and laughed. A shop owner told him to move away from his shop. Daniel said nothing. The day moved slowly. Hunger squeezed his stomach. His head felt light. His feet trembled. When night came, Daniel followed other homeless men under a nearby bridge. The ground was cold and wet. Cars roared above his head. He tried to sleep, but his body shook all night. On the fourth day, Daniel felt weaker than ever. His tongue was dry. His hands shook as he held the tin cup. He leaned back against the wall, his eyes half closed. He tried to keep breathing. People walked past him without looking. Some even stepped close to him with no care. A woman shouted at him, "Young man like you begging, shame." Daniel kept his eyes down. He felt darkness pulling him in when a soft voice broke the moment. "Hello, can you hear me?" Daniel looked up slowly. A young woman stood in front of him. She had a simple yellow dress. Her skin glowed in the sun. Her hair was tied neatly. Her eyes were full of concern. She looked like someone who carried light everywhere she went. Her name was Grace Turner. Grace knelt in front of Daniel. "Are you okay? You look hungry." Daniel tried to speak, but his voice cracked. He shook his head. Grace checked her small purse. It was empty. She sighed, then looked at him again. "Please wait here. I don't have money right now, but I will go home and bring food. Please don't go." Daniel nodded weakly. "I will wait." Grace smiled softly. "My name is Grace. I'm coming back." She ran off quickly. Daniel watched her disappear into the busy street. A tear rolled down his cheek, not because he was weak, but because someone finally saw him as a human being. Someone cared. 15 minutes later, Grace returned with a small nylon bag. She handed it to him with a warm smile. He opened it, and the smell of rice filled the air. His stomach growled. Grace sat beside him and told him to eat slowly. Daniel ate, and with every bite, he felt life return little by little. After he finished, Grace asked, "Where do you sleep at night?" Daniel looked away, under the bridge. Grace covered her mouth in shock. "No, that place is not safe." Daniel shrugged. "I have nowhere else." Grace stood up suddenly. "Wait here again, let me ask my father. Maybe he will allow you to sleep in our compound." Daniel blinked in surprise. "Your father, your family." Grace nodded. "I will try." She ran off again. Daniel watched her go. His heart beat fast. Was this real? Was help truly coming? Was kindness really possible for a man who looked like nothing? Or was he walking into a new danger he could not escape? The question burned in his mind as he waited for her return. What would Grace's family say when they saw him? And what would happen if they found out who he really was? Maya sat under the mango tree behind the school building, rubbing the stain on her sneakers. The chocolate milk had dried into a brown patch, and no matter how much she wiped, it didn't go away. She sighed and rested her head on her knees. She kept replaying yesterday's cafeteria incident in her mind. Jessica's smirk, the laughter from the seniors, the way everyone watched and pretended not to see anything. The longer she remembered, the worse her chest tightened. A gentle voice broke her thoughts. "You're hiding again." Maya lifted her head. It was Kelechi, same class, same age, always kind, always curious. He held 2 bottles of water and offered her one. "I'm not hiding," Maya said softly. Kelechi smiled. "Okay, so this is strategic sitting." She tried not to laugh, but the small smile slipped out. Something like that. Kelechi sat beside her, Jessica and her group again. Maya didn't respond, but her silence was enough. Kelechi looked at her stained sneakers. They purposely poured it, didn't they? Maya looked away. "It doesn't matter." "But it does," Kelechi said. "You just pretend it doesn't. You always pretend." Maya bit her lip. "What do you want me to do? Fight them?" "No, just stop letting them treat you like you're invisible." Maya opened the water bottle slowly. "If I say something, they'll only do worse." Kelechi paused. "Maybe, or maybe something will finally change." She shook her head gently. It's not that easy. Kelechi looked at her for a moment, then let me help. Maya frowned. Help how? I don't know yet, he replied honestly, but I can't watch them keep doing this. Before Maya could answer, the school bell rang loudly from the main building. Students' voices echoed across the yard. Kelechi stood up and dusted his shorts. We'll talk later, don't disappear. Maya didn't promise anything, but she nodded. When she walked back into the building, every corridor felt louder than usual. She moved quietly, avoiding eye contact, but the whispers still reached her. Look, it's the girl with the milk sneakers. She thinks she can walk fast and hide. Jessica is looking for her. Maya tightened her grip on her backpack strap and kept walking. Inside the classroom, she sat at her desk quickly. A few classmates turned to stare. Some wondered, some pitied, some just wanted gossip. Kelechi walked in after her, but before he could take his seat, Jessica entered with her two friends, Tara and Mimi. The entire classroom went silent. Jessica stood at the doorway with her arms crossed. Her hair was styled in a glossy ponytail, and she walked like she owned the place. Kelechi, she said, ignoring every other person, I need to talk to you. Kelechi raised a brow. About what? Jessica stepped closer. About yesterday. What about it? He asked calmly. Jessica's eyes darted to Maya for a second before returning to Kelechi. I heard you've been defending her. Kelechi folded his arms. I've been defending what's right. Jessica smiled tightly. So now you're a hero, Abai. Kelechi didn't respond. Jessica took one more step, lowering her voice. You're wasting your time. Girls like Maya, they don't fight back. They don't matter in this school. Maya felt those words like a sharp sting. Kelechi didn't blink. Maybe she doesn't matter to you, but she matters. The class murmured quietly. Jessica's smile thinned. You think you're brave because you're talking back. You don't understand how this school works. Then explain it to me, he said. Jessica leaned closer. You stay on the good side of those in control, or you learn the hard way. Kelechi stared at her, unshaken. Jessica finally hissed softly and turned around. Come on, she snapped at Tara and Mimi. But before leaving, she paused at Maya's desk. Maya kept her head down, her fingers tightening around her pen. Jessica tilted her head and said in a light voice, those sneakers still smell like milk. You should throw them away. She walked out gracefully, leaving the room buzzing. Maya's throat felt tight, but she refused to look up. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears. Kelechi moved to her desk and sat on the edge. You okay? She nodded, even though she was. You know she came here on purpose, Kelechi said quietly. She's testing you. Maya exhaled shakily. I don't want trouble. You didn't cause any trouble, he reminded. She did. Maya finally raised her eyes. Why do you care so much? Kelechi hesitated for the first time. He rubbed his thumb against his palm before answering. Because I know what it feels like, he said, to be treated like you don't belong. Maya blinked. What happened to you? Kelechi looked toward the window. Another school, another set of people who thought being different made you weak. He paused. I promised myself that if I ever saw someone going through the same thing, I wouldn't stay silent. Maya looked at him softly. Thank you. He smiled. Don't thank me yet. I think Jessica is planning something. Maya's stomach tightened. How do you know? Because people like her hate being challenged. He stood up fully. Just be careful today, please. The teacher entered then, and the class settled down. Maya tried to focus on the lessons, but her mind drifted. Jessica's voice kept echoing. Girls like Maya, they don't fight back. They don't matter. Her fingers trembled slightly as she wrote in her notebook. At break time, she didn't go outside. She stayed in the classroom and ate quietly, staring at the window. When break ended and the students returned, something felt strange, like a subtle shift in the room. Tara and Mimi kept whispering, A few boys pointed at her desk. Jessica hadn't returned yet, which worried Maya more. Jessica was not the type to disappear for long. Kelechi leaned toward Maya. Something is happening. Maya whispered, "What do you think she's doing?" Before Kelechi could answer, a loud gasp rose from the hallway. Footsteps rushed. Students hurried toward the door. Tara stood in the doorway, breathless and excited. "Kelechi, Maya, come and see. Someone posted something on the school notice board." Kelechi frowned. "Posted what?" Tara smirked slightly. "Just come." Maya felt her whole body go cold. Kelechi held her arm. "You don't have to go." But Maya stood slowly. "If it's about me, I should see it." But they stepped into the hallway together. Students crowded around the main notice board, whispering loudly, laughing, taking pictures. As Maya got closer, she saw a printed paper pinned in the center of the board. Her breath caught instantly. It was a picture of her sitting alone under the mango tree that morning, hugging her knees. Someone had taken it secretly. And above it, in bold black letters, "School Crybaby of the Year." Her ears rang, her knees weakened. Kelechi stepped in front of the board, blocking the crowd. Who did this? But everyone already knew. Jessica stepped forward from the other side of the hallway, arms folded, wearing a slow, confident smile. "This is just the beginning," she said. Maya's heart pounded painfully. Jessica walked closer and whispered near her ear, soft, calm, deadly. "By the time I'm done, you'll wish you never came to this school." Maya felt her vision blur. And in that moment, she realized something terrifying. Jessica wasn't just bullying her. Jessica had declared war. This story doesn't end here, more is coming soon. So make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe to be part of the journey.